However, there is nothing more convincing than real-life experience. So let me share a personal case study that came about quite by accident. Several years ago, I launched two websites simultaneously. One site was purchased brand new from GoDaddy for $8. The other site was purchased from a domain auction for $1,500 and was 10 years old. These sites were similar in many ways. First, they were both providing leads to insurance companies, and I set them up to both go after the same list of keywords. Neither domain had ever hosted any content on the domain before, and even though the backlinks were not duplicates of each other, my backlink strategy was identical. So let me provide a few results. In the first 6 months, I saw the new site, or Site A, begin to rank on some long tail. Site B, the old domain, ranked in the top 100 for all the long tail I was targeting. By the end of the year, Site A had similar rankings that Site B had at 6 months, whereas Site B was now ranking competitively on my difficult keywords. The biggest contrast I noticed, though, was at the 2-year mark for both of these domains. Site A still was unable to make it into the top 3 spots for the difficult keywords. However, Site B seemed to be treated as a brand, and for most of the difficult keywords it was number 1. The really interesting aspect of this case study actually revolves with the same time frame, but with the revenues of each site. Keep in mind that these sites are providing exactly the same service, but you can see how drastic of a difference the revenue is. The main reason for this was that search engines were ranking Site B for a lot more keywords than what I was targeting on my own. The domain was seen as an authoritative domain and therefore was trusted with more keywords than Site A. So I do realize that this case study has some serious flaws. First, as many statistic teachers tell their students, correlation does not imply causation, meaning that just because we see that one thing leads to another, that doesn't mean it is the case. Next, 2 years is a long time to look at a case study with search engines, mainly because search engines are constantly changing their rules or algorithms. Google or Bing could have made a change that affected one site but not the other. Also, as you can imagine, after year 1, my focus started to wane from Site A and was amplified on Site B, simply because there was significantly more money on Site B than Site A. Due to my shift in attention, the backlink similarity began to change. I was much more willing to spend the time and effort to get high-quality links for Site B because the payoff was greater. So take all these things into consideration and draw your own conclusions. For me, though, I am a believer of old domains. So what I have learned from this case study, and numerous other domains that I've worked on, is that Google starts having age play as an important ranking factor at about 2.5 years. For Bing, it's even longer at 5 years. For both of them, though, the older the domain, the more power it can have.